Hello guys, so welcome to a new rant of mine. So if you look at the screen, here. You want to know where Russia could have really won the war against Ukraine? This place right here. In 2022, in February, when all of this began, here was where Russia could have won the war. At Mashon. They I gotta remind you, they had tons they had the men they had were professionals for the most part. They had tons of armor. They had tons of aircraft. They had tons of way more artillery than they do but now. They basically had way more of everything than Ukraine. More so then than they do now. Ukraine, only thing they got were anti-tank guns. And other than that, barely anything else except some Bayraktar drones and drones they have on their hand. They barely had anything. This place was where it was so critical that the 72nd Mechanized Division for Ukraine's commander said that he wanted to retreat, but Zelensky told them that if they did, Kiev would be endangered. And in that battle, Russia broke. Reminder, this is Russia where they had a better military then. And in that battle, they failed. The one time they could have won the war and conquered the country after all the missteps, they couldn't do it. They lost. They got pushed back in the north, and now in a losing war of attrition. They would not be able to afford to win. You see, there is this idea by some people that the Russians win the war, or because they took a small parcel of territory, and but Ukraine. And now it's kind of reversed now. Now they don't say anything anymore because Russia's barely getting any now, and Ukraine's getting the territory back. But even that idea is just laughable to me. Even about Divka, Bakhmut, and all those places, Russia barely done anything. If it's been said again by ISW that the Russian military now is took so little territory in so long a time that it took so few territory, and it took so long that the Battle of the Somme. Let me repeat that. In the Battle of the Somme, where the British Army had its worst military disaster in a bloody slugfest against the German army in the Somme for nearly half a year, is faster than them. And now I'm not even gonna mention Operation Bagration or Operation Bagration. That's not that would be an insult to the Soviet army in that sense. I'm not even gonna mention even the Brusilov offensive by the Russian Empire in World War One. Russia is doing poorly than two of the most famous offensives in the Eastern Europe. But again, but but again, Russia is not the Russian Empire. Russia today is not the Soviet Union. It was people should have seen that with the Chechen wars. They literally took them nearly a decade, and them having to make some leaders in Chechnya betray their own people before they could conquer that country. But even before that, it took tens of thousands of losses and thousands of civilian casualties through terrorist attacks before they could even call out victory. And people say, "Oh, but they are bad. They are bad." No, they're not. They're not the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union died in the nineties. Like, it's weird to me that people say, "Oh, but they won wars before." But here's the thing: they didn't really win World War One, and World War One is a different war than World War Two. And Russian Empire had way more men than the Russians now in against one country. And remind you, Russia is performing this badly towards one country. All of their resources are into that one country of Ukraine. They terror bomb it every night. They vote thousands of assault waves every day. Well, not much anymore, but every day. They they send all their tanks to the meat to the to the iron grinder. They send thousands of glide bombs. Well, I'm not sure how many anymore. Just glide bombs, or as much as so did he have left, and barely 0.1%, 0.1% last year. And then you have people like Willie Legends and Willie Old. They're gonna lie to my face and say that Russia is doing so well. What, do you want a participation trophy? Like, that's not how it works. But then Willie Old would be like, oh, but they're doing attrition warfare well. No, they're not. Let's be real, they're not doing that. If that was the case, the Ukrainian military would have been going to collapse by 2023. We're 2025, 6 now, and they're nowhere to collapse. Stop lying. You need to stop lying. I just want to make this point. Russia's only chance was when it has a better military in 2022 against a weaker Ukraine, and it couldn't do it. If that Russia in 2022 couldn't achieve victory, what hope does a Russia now with a weaker overall military? They have more men, but they have terrible communications, an air force that can't go into the country, can't do precise strikes, can't strikes. The terror bombing doesn't work. Doesn't work. And what's the idea? The thing with the war is that the port, like my idea is that Putin wanted just to replace the nation. He didn't exactly plan to take it over. But now because again he's mining to it and he doesn't want to go the way of Nicholas II, he has to play it up. Look, the point is this war has been lost. The war can't be won by Russia. Can't be won by Russia. They lost that try in 2022 and they never get it back. Ukraine sees their crimes and they're gonna keep fighting like the Chinese against the Japanese. Because just like the Japanese, Russia showed complete barbarity to the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainians knew that if they surrender, they die. That's why they haven't stopped fighting all these years. So yeah, that's my quick rant about the subject. So see you guys in the next one here.